Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get into it. We're going to talk today about some of the things that you need to do during your second asynchronous day. This would be Friday, the 21st of August. When you left today, we were talking about forming teams. Great job today, by the way. Don't forget that there's still choosing topic discussions. You've recently turned in your added value discussions. You're still working on patents. What are they? This is an individual assignment, and you should use the Epsilon resources to help you out with that. And then there's also the shared team Google Drive folder that you should be working on. This is something that you will hear about during this video. And at the same time, you should also be aware that although you have a shared team Google Drive folder, it is the responsibility of every teammate to turn it into me. So that I know each and every one of you have that link. We're going to go into that activity here in just a moment. And then as of today, you also have product life cycle assessment assigned to you, and we're going to take a look at that here in a moment too. So let's break this down. Okay, back on Canvas, we find that this is the shared team Google Drive folder. The introduction of this, since I have the time, I think I'll read through it with you because I want to make sure that you are actually reading these introductions. So although you are welcome to have your own, the times of a PLTW course binder being assessed by your instructor are over. For EDD, work is expected to be organized and stored digitally. The primary way of organizing this work is up to the team, but it is essential to utilize one location. Since teams are expected to collaborate, share files, and give access to their instructor, EDD teams will use Google Drives as a digital location for all documents created, collected, submitted, and otherwise used by the teammates. In other words, if your team has an important file, it is stored in an organized folder on Drive that has been shared with each teammate and the instructor. Your team may decide on the level and depth of this organization, but some amount is expected. The organization of this folder is not directly assessed, but will be considered when assessing other assignments that rely on your organization, easy navigation of your team's work, and any presentation that elaborates on how your team manages the documents it uses. It is encouraged that teams create a subfolder system with a naming scheme that makes sense and is professional. You would not want to share a folder or file with an expert or stakeholder and be embarrassed or embarrass the school by the name of a folder or file they can see. It is also encouraged that teams create Google HyperDocs. These are Google Docs with hyperlinks to outside sources, as well as within the doc itself. Google Slides for presentation purposes, Google Sheets for data analyzation purposes, and Google Forms for surveying purposes at minimum. Resources. You're going to need to have your computer or Chromebook with internet access, a DPS Google account, and a Google Drive folder checklist. Let's talk about that DPS Google account. It's probably going to make it a whole lot easier if you log into DPS's Google accounts as opposed to your personal accounts when using, making, and sharing of this folder. The Google Drive folder checklist, it looks like this. Basically what this shows are the things that down the road you're going to need to make sure are stored in some fashion, organized in some way, specifically within the Drive folder that you've shared with me and your teammates. You need to have a project management timeline. That's basically what we look at every day. It's this thing. There's also the problem statement, which you'll be creating pretty shortly. Justification of the problem, current and past solutions, proposed solution, and all of the other parts to your major project that you work on throughout the semester. So this just gives you a breakdown of what's in those segments, and then how you organize that within your folder should make sense and easy, not for grading purposes, but more so for me to be able to go in and help you out and for your teammates to understand how to find different files that you keep within there. So there is a level of which we expect that you will be keeping your work organized. A pretty important resource. Your procedure. 4 easy steps. These are the very simple steps to take for sharing this folder with me and your teammates and earn points for this assignment. Number 1, after teams are decided, one teammate from each team will be responsible for creating a folder on their DPS Google account drive. I want to make sure that each team has at least one person who has created the folder and then shared it with the other teammates. Teams will name this folder. You might change the name, and that's okay, but at least come up with a name now so that you can create the folder and send it to me. The requirements for the folder name are that it must incorporate the name of your team, at least at the time, typically the same as or similar to your problem, incorporate the problem you are solving, again, at the time, as this could change in the next few weeks as you're developing your problem statement, typically the same as or similar to your team name. Be professional and make it SFW, in other words, safe for work. That team name on that folder and what you use to present yourself to professionals is very important that it is itself professional. One teammate from each team will be responsible for then sharing the folder with her or his teammates and the instructor. To be safe, do so through Drive and via email. Teammates and instructors must be given access to every folder and document in this shared folder. In other words, don't restrict any of the folders. Make sure that anything that's in there, everyone in the team and the instructor, me, can see it. 3 says with his or her teammates and the instructor, you're going to have one person responsible for making sure that happens. Although in number 4, each teammate then is responsible for giving me the link as a URL. When they submit this assignment, you need to make sure that someone in your team is responsible for the fact that I have access. So let's say that we have a team of 4 people, teammate 1, 2, 3, and 4. When they submit it, they must have the unique URL for that team Google Drive folder that's been shared with them attached to this assignment. So every person will submit this assignment with that unique URL code by the due date. But one person in the team needs to take the responsibility of making sure that it has been shared through Google Drive with me. It'll send it to my email account, and then make sure that everybody in their team has also taken care of it through turning in this assignment. This is an all or nothing assignment. There is no middle ground here like many of the small assignments you'll do for this class. You either follow the directions and earn all the points, or you turn it in late when you fixed your mistakes. This isn't worth a whole lot of points. It's 20 points. There's a text box place where you can put the URL code in, or there is a place that requires a website URL. It's due by August 22nd, and it's available from today onward. Currently, as we know it, these are the teams. People working on Umbrella, Nick, Ben, Elliot, and Aiden. People working on the Sun Car Visor so far, Thomas, and the Menstrual Products, Sophie, Lily, and Ethan. These people have already been put into the project groups under my people, and you can see that this is also where I have my second period teams. People that are left: Evan, Isha, Patrick, Romina, and Ella. I need to figure out which one of these teams you're going to be in, or what the final team is for first period. For second period, these are the teams: Jacob, Joseph, Chester, Luca, Vivian, all working on earbuds. Esme, Emily, George, and Ben, all working on homeless people clothing, and we had that spot there for Bryce, if that's where he wanted to be. There isn't a spot left in the earbuds. Do let me know, though, guys, by 10 p.m. tonight if that doesn't work and you need to switch with somebody from earbuds. This does line up with what you guys provided for me. You guys did a great job with all of this work today. I know it was a lot to get those presentations knocked out, and now you have your teams and we can start moving forward. The next thing I want to talk to you about is product lifecycle assessment. Here's the introduction. There are many reasons to analyze an existing product. You might be a competitor interested in improving another's existing product. You might want to learn the pros and cons of an existing product to better position yourself for success as an entrepreneur with a new product. Perhaps you want to find ways in which to improve your own existing product, for example, by examining products that use alternate raw materials that may perform better or may be less expensive than the raw materials currently used in production. Assessing a product may also provide insight into alterations to a product that could lead to its use for a new purpose or by a different classification of consumer. Assessment of existing products could help you identify more environmentally or socially responsible production methods. Perhaps you will discover a more efficient manufacturing process. In this activity, you will analyze an existing product to determine important details about its development and life cycle and communicate this information using a visual aid. Your resources: the product life cycle documents. There's quite a few for you to look over. Product life cycle assessment presentation is available for you. Feel free to go through it. It is very useful. It's 30 slides long, but it gets into the life cycle flowchart, breaks this down for you. It helps you understand what product life cycle actually is. I would encourage that you also check to make sure there's possible notes that you could look at if you open this up as a PowerPoint or as a Google slide. But the bulk of this assignment is about you understanding how a product goes from the basic concept through the manufacturing into use and then its end of life. You have some time over the weekend. Be sure that you look this over. By Thursday of next week, this assignment is due. So it's important that you also understand information, like for example, the actual graphic, the product life cycle, the life cycle flow template that you could use. And then of course, if you want to look at it outside of what's on Canvas, I've provided for you the product assessment rubric that'll be used to assess this work that your team completes and presents on next Thursday. So those were the product life cycle documents. Let's talk about your procedure. Significant events. Analyze an existing product. As you perform the analysis, identify important details about its development and life cycle. Document everything in your E&B. This assignment is assessed using the product assessment rubric embedded in this assignment and found in those product life cycle documents we just looked at. The rubric is based on 5 criteria: aesthetics and organization, content, connections among content, chosen elements, and presentation. Below are the requirements for the criteria to be met. This is also a team-based assignment, so as a team determine the best means of presenting this information to me and your peers. 1. Choose a product to research that is of interest to you. Is your product appropriate? Reach out to your instructor to approve the choice. It is important not to pick a type of product, but rather a very specific product or model. For example, if you would like to assess a laptop, choose a specific brand and model. While some information is generic to a broad category of product, you should be as specific as possible and acquire information that is specific to a particular product. It is best to pick something very unique that does not yet have a lot of competition. Make sure that a great deal of information is available regarding your specific choice. Now, there will probably be questions that come up about, well, how specific and do I have enough research? Is this enough material available for this particular product? These are not questions that I can truly answer. These are questions that only you can answer and determine. Number 2. Identify the most important of each of the following to highlight in your presentation. Inventions and innovations that affected the design and development of the product. Important developments that have impacted the design, usability, market status, market share and sales, or another aspect of the product. These developments can include scientific breakthroughs, market shifts, emergence or disappearance of competing products, political, social, or economic events. Life cycle assessment. Number 3. Review the product life cycle documents again if you need to. Identify the most important details for your product within each step and complete a life cycle flow diagram for each of the 5 major stages of the product life cycle: pre-manufacture, manufacture, product delivery, use, and end of life/disposal. Consider the following questions while assessing each stage of the life cycle of your chosen product. What raw materials or components are used in this stage of the product life cycle? Where are the raw materials/components obtained? How are they obtained? What is the final form of the product at this stage? What types of fuels/energy are used at this stage of the life cycle? What wastes result from the use of fuels/energy at this stage? Are any chemical or solvents, biological agents or toxins, carcinogens, used during this stage? Does waste result from the process or processes during this stage? Are the wastes hazardous? Are the wastes solid, gaseous, or liquid? What happens to the waste? Is the waste reused? If not, can it somehow be reused? How are the raw materials, components, products transported during this stage? How far are the raw materials / components / products of this stage transported? What means are they transported? Can more environmentally friendly forms of transportation be used? While completing the life cycle flow diagram for the end of life / disposal stage of your product, consider the following additional questions. Is the product durable? What is the typical lifespan of the product? Can the lifespan be extended? Would extending the lifespan reduce the negative impact on the environment? What disposal method is used for the product? Can the product be reused or recycled? Does the manufacturer collect used product? Then we want to think about the ecological and sustainable design. Number 4, detail the important factors of your product, both good and bad, regarding ecological and sustainable design practices. Presentation side of all of this. Number 5, create a visual aid to communicate the information your team has gathered. A good visual aid will include all of the information detailed above and will connect many of the key elements together. Be creative. Think outside the box on this one. If you do not include some of the information detailed above, be sure to have a justifiable reason for the exclusion. Number 6, submit your visual aid, whatever it is you chose to create, when turning in this assignment by the due date. Number 7, in no more than 2 minutes, provide an oral summary / presentation to your class, highlighting the key points regarding the development of your product. 2 minutes. Use your visual aid during the oral summary / presentation. Does your visual aid also complete the oral summary / presentation component of this assignment? If so, great. Just make sure it is something we can all see and or hear during your presentation. Number 8, remember to also work with your team on the Share Team Google Drive folder assignment and the team's product statement assignment. And after the presentations, remember to respond to the Improve Product Lifecycle discussion post. This assignment is worth 125 points. You can give me a website URL or you can upload a file. Below you'll find that rubric. It's called the Product Assessment Rubric. Each of the criteria in this rubric is worth 25 points. You'll also notice how I've broken down these rubrics. 22 to 25 points is considered distinguished. Accomplished is 20 to 22 points. 15 to 20, proficient. Notice that they're not split evenly. Practiced, anywhere from above 1 point to 15 points. And novice, you've scored anywhere from 0 to 1. This is a group assignment. I am not assigning grades to each student individually. I believe what this will do is that when your team turns it in, they get 1 grade, and that grade is given to each person on that team. Make sure that your team is focused, willing to do the work every step of the way. If necessary, divvying it up to meet people's schedule needs and to help them out. Your team is responsible for your team. Each teammate is responsible for all the other teammates in your team. That's it for now. Look for another video coming from me to help you understand the opening of some of the other assignments that happened today. Good luck. Reach out to me if you need to during your async day or during the day on the weekends. If I'm available, I'll be happy to reach back out to you. Have a great night. See you soon.